Hello and welcome to this exciting episode of the Terror Express. With us, I have an actor and director and writer and producer, a man of many talents, Mr. Ryan James. How are you?
I'm good, Jason. Thank you for
I
having me on today.
Now, listeners, Ryan has done some films that you've seen him in. He was in the Terrifier 2, Jay and Silent Bob reboot. He has a movie coming out this 6th, Friday, October 6th.
Friday.
And I'm really excited about that. Um, it's a sequel to a staple of a movie from 1983, which is considered the holy grail of all 80s slasher films to us fans, the Mutilator sequel, Mutilator 2. And I let that cat out of the bag. I am so sorry, Ryan. That was one that you were supposed to say.
No, no, actually,
Sometimes I get a little too excited.
I just had a moment where I felt
Yeah.
like you were more zine than me because that's like there's like I don't want to spoil it because I obviously I can't say too much about the movie because I haven't seen
Uh-huh.
it yet, but like there are moments where I felt like I know you haven't seen it yet, but that zine is that's you're
That's
literally like pulling dialogue from my body of like
wonderful.
about it being the holy grail. I was like, oh man, I felt a little
That,
bit of zine in there coming out of me. I
that
was like, oh
That
wow.
is a fantastic compliment, and we're gonna get back a little bit to Zine. Also, let's talk about Zine now since he's been brought up. Tell us about Zine and what role does he play within the Mutilator universe?
Zine is a character who is pretty much like the biggest mutilator fan on the planet. And
Nice.
he's the editor of the Gore Times online only edition. He's there at the I believe he's mentioned that it takes place around the filming and the wrap party
Hmm.
of the filming, and so Zine is there because this is like his dream come true, his mecca, to be able to actually be where a sequel's being filmed 40 years later, and he's trying everything he can to be around that mutilator magic. And I guess without like spoiling anything, I would say that obviously he's a big horror fan, diehard horror fan, but lives and dies by like the Mutilator franchise property, and but he's also looking for love. Like he's a horror nerd with a heart of gold, and I kind of equated it to where like he just wishes that he could find someone who looks at him the way that he looks at the Mutilator movies.
I think it's appropriate to say instead of I'm a Mutilator fanboy, I think I'm just gonna coin I'm a Zine.
You're
Listeners are
Zine.
fans of the Mutilator are all zines. Let's be zines because
Totally.
I mean, and it's such a great name. It just has a great ring to it.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned producing and directing and editing and all these different things here. You've done such a multitude of different things and so many facets. What's been your favorite?
There's nothing that beats acting for me. I love
Yeah.
the idea of escapism, especially when it
Yes.
comes to movie
Yeah.
watching. Being a film fan, it's therapeutic for me, and just being able to shut off my all the busyness and all the madness of filmmaking, because there are so many voices and so many. It's such a demanding job that like, and I can just be in one person in one place or on a different planet or whatever it is. It's like there was something about coming back to that role for Zine that I was it was such a refresher.
Now you mentioned the Mutilator too. I'm curious about the Mutilator the first time. I picture Zine watching it at 3 years old, becoming this fanboy. But for you, Ryan, when was the first time you ever saw the original Mutilator, and what impression did it make on you?
Yeah, I definitely saw it when I was still living in Florida. I was in Orlando. So it was definitely post film school. You're probably like 2000, maybe even like 2017 or 18. It wasn't too long ago. But obviously I'd been around the film a lot. Like I knew the cover art really well, and it was always a box. But growing up as a kid, going to the video store, I would study box art, for years and kind of just be like,
Yes.
oh, I know about it, and I know I know more of it than I had seen. But like, you know, obviously you as well would know just as well as Zine that the movie was a very difficult physical media copy to get your hands on. Um,
Yes.
and
Yes.
so, and I don't even know, and I should, if it was ever released on DVD, or
There
if it was
is
foreign.
there's a German DVD. I don't think it's official. I don't think it's
It's like
licensed. I
the
think it's yeah, and it says it's the unrated version. I was fortunate enough to find it at a mom and pop video store back in the 80s, maybe early 90s, the unrated VHS copy, which I still have.
yeah.
And then when it was released on Blu-ray and DVD, I remember Buddy made that announcement and it kept getting pushed back and getting pushed back. But I pre-ordered it and 2 years later I finally got my hands on it. It was like that was bigger than any Christmas gift that I ever got as a
Right.
child, was getting that in my hands. But you mentioned VHS box art. That is a thing, and I think The Mutilator is one of the best box arts that I've seen. And 80s horror, I'm just it's nostalgia for me. But yeah, it's absolutely magical.
I love that story in like the documentary, which obviously I studied very,
Hmm.
very well. That marketing company that came in and kind of changed the whole fall break art to to that mutilator art.
Yes,
And
yes,
yeah, you just look at it and it just like it pulls something out of you. Either reels you in or it pushes you away. And so that's definitely something that like your audience is already kind of built in if they've already bought into Mutilator. I mean, we've another film that's actually premiering the same night as Mutilator 2 in Vegas, Joe Bob's Jamboree, called Cannibal Comedian. And it's like if you already got a ticket to Cannibal Comedian, there's nothing that you're gonna see that's gonna be like I'm offended or like that was too much for me. It's just
right.
like you that was already giving you the clue as to what you're getting into.
Yes,
um
absolutely.
yeah, so I mean, yeah, that the and you know what else too? I definitely owned the film, and you asked me like what I thought about it. I mean, I just knew about it so long. I specifically remember watching it, going, I've always needed to see this. I've got to watch it. I've got to have an opinion on it. And it was just one of those like I finally had the time, which is very rare to say now, to sit down and watch something I hadn't seen before that I always
Hmm.
knew that I needed to see. And so I just remember watching it and being like, oh, this is fun, because it's got that like a little bit of that horror comedy party, vibe to it. And I just loved Bill Hitchcock in the film,
Yeah,
like
yeah, so do I.
that energy I knew was so fun. And it was funny because when I met Bill on the first day, I was like, hey, sorry in advance if I'm just gonna be like your shadow, because there's something where as I went through the script, I kind of was like, oh, there's not, because Bill's in the movie, but there's not really that like Ralph energy of like that fun, quirky, goofy character kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like, oh, wait a minute, is that me? Am I the guy? And so there were a couple times where I had these awakenings on set where I'd tell people who my character was, and they'd give me an assessment of like, "Oh, you're the ABC character or whatever," and I'm like, "Wait, I'm the ABC character?" Like, I'm like, "Wait, I was thinking of like a different kind of thing or whatever." But there was that energy of like, I want it to be fun and silly, and I want it to be playful, and I want a lot of like horror fans to be able to see themselves in it. And so I told Bill, I was like, I'm not going to do your character thing, but like there's that energy of the role that you fulfilled in Mutilator that I very much want to channel. So like I
Hmm.
might ask you questions or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And what was cool was Bill was also not only playing Bill in the movie, but also, like doing props on the set. So he was there every single day and he would be checking in with me with all of my props as well. And he would come up to me after as he'd grab or hand me a prop or grab it back or whatever and just be like, it's working. Like what you're doing is really good. And then he'd pop off and I'd just be like, okay, thanks, Bill.
I remember the first time I saw The Mutilator, I was 11 or 12,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to stop it when Ben Moore was killed, the cop. He had just got his head chopped off, and my aunt shut it off and said, "You gotta go to bed. You gotta go to school tomorrow." So I had to wait all the next day to finish it. But I knew I had magic in my hand, and I have had since then. a long-standing 40-year crush on Connie Rogers. I think there's something about Connie as Sue in this movie that she her death is my one go-to where I'm like, hey, did you ever see this? This is like one of the most shocking ones. But I do have a pair of pants from the original Mutilator that Connie wore. I'm mentioning Connie again. Connie, if you ever listen to this episode, I just want to say thank you and hello. Um, thank you for being Sue, making Sue what she is. Anyway, oh wow, I just see Connie just totally I'm sorry, I just totally lost my train of thought with that one. But now we know
I'm in competition. I'm in Connie
you are
petition.
you are I'm closer to her age. I have that on my side, but
Well, young at
you have
heart, you
but
can.
you have that gorgeous hair though. I can't compete with them. With my hairline and your hair, I don't know. Okay, this is the unveiling. This is the big um climax. I'm going to ask you this question. This is what we've been waiting for. Now we know it's coming out on Friday the 6th. Where will we be able to find it and watch it?
That is the world premiere at Joe Bob Briggs third annual World Drive-In Jamboree. I mean,
That,
and what's so cool is him recently showing, the Mutilator on the last
yeah,
drive-in.
yeah,
I was always kind of hoping that was going to be the thing, and I heard rumblings that like, obviously Joe Bob kind of being involved in that way where he showed that they were possibly going to do something with Joe Bob in that sense. And it is just so cool to have it in that type of venue. So having, obviously it's not a theatrical release, but just that it's so limited and niche. It's just the right amount of Mutilator magic there to have
yeah.
it premiere at Joe Bob's Drive-In right after they just screened it on the show. And I couldn't be more excited about that it just they haven't sold out yet. And I do believe that that's obviously part of the release strategy is you just dump a movie on VOD or whatever. That's not the Mutilator. The
No.
Mutilator had to fight to get out there. Actually, not only did the Mutilator have to fight to get out there, fans now of the Mutilator had to fight to track the movie down. Because if you couldn't find that,
Yes.
even if you found the VHS and it was the edited version, you're still robbing yourself of that true original vision and thing that makes the
Yes.
Mutilator the Mutilator. And
A
so
hundred percent. That is a hundred
fact,
percent accurate.
the fact that
Yeah.
you can go out now and get
Uh-huh.
to the drive-in and watch it there is just like that's the place to be. When everyone is going to see it for the very first time, Zine included. So I tell you, if Zine were real, he would be there with bells and whistles on at the world premiere at the drive-in.
Now we know that there's the SAG-AFTRA strike going on. Has this strike had any effect at all on any negative impact on the Mutilator 2 or any delay on its release date?
I can't personally say it's affected the release of the film. But I will say that what I've noticed is while these studios are having a very tough time getting promotion and marketing and getting the actors to be able to promote their films and achieve a lot of that box office success, unless stuff was previously recorded. If you look at every single Saw X promo that's been out, it's always Tobin
Uh-huh.
Bell previously recorded,
Yeah.
previously on. And so that's what's been, kind of, it's just like, you know, being able to have an opportunity to have indie releases during this time, because I can only imagine some actors who have been fighting their whole life to have,
Yeah.
a big blockbuster studio movie come out that's going to make their career and they can't say a word.
Yeah.
I
That's gotta
really
be
feel
rough.
I feel for him, but we'll be
Yeah.
able to talk about it after the strike is
Oh
resolved.
yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
comes to a
Yeah.
good agreement, and the fact that we have these indies that are out now and being able to tour with these indies that aren't related with that has kind of been a little a bit of a blessing in regards to that.
Now, I do have some closing questions for you, and these are the questions that I ask all my guests toward the end of our episodes. And the first one is to I'm going to ask you if first off, hopefully you believe in the supernatural, because that's one of the things that I do on this podcast. If not, I do have a backup question. But have you had a real supernatural experience that you can share with us, or maybe something that was just unexplainable?
I feel like I probably have a bunch and I've like buried them, but my go-to has been very recent, so it's easy for me to say yes. Like I told you, we were working on this film Dark Circles, which is a psychological thriller. And the first day, not even day one on set, it was like the day before or 2 days before the first day, we had to scout or do a tech scout on the main house that Damien Maffei, his character Martin, lives in, which is kind of this just like seedy. It's 100. It's not in the film. Is it like literally haunted? But it's definitely figuratively haunted. The house is really haunted. And I found that out from the jump. And one of the executive producers was like, we were going to be sleeping there at the time. Like, it's an indie. Like, we had to keep our locations like, pretty tight. And so we were like, yeah, there's rooms here, so you'll be staying here and the editor will be staying here and, blah, blah. And the lead actors were going to be staying there. And it was like, yeah, and then occasionally a ghost might come out and just be standing over your bed or in the hallway or whatever. But don't worry, like they're nice ghosts. Like they're there to just like check over you. It's just it's just an old man and a little kid or whatever. It's no big deal. And I was just like, I'm sorry, what? Like you're just talking about like nonchalant. It was the executive producer's grandparents' house. They grew up in it, seeing these ghosts. I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. And then like right away, like went downstairs, took a photo, came back and was like, yeah, see, look at this little orb. Like it's just, right there. I just saw it. And I was just like, yeah, no, thank you. And then like right after that, I was hearing like noises from upstairs. And then I went outside and I was on the phone with the makeup artist, like, them coming into town and just being like, yeah, and the house is haunted. I'm not a big fan of it or whatever. All of a sudden I heard from like the basement, because it was like one of those like the old like basement doors from the outside. I just heard, and I was just like, yep, I'm staying in the hotel. We got one for the hotel, please. Thank you. Yeah, no, I was not about it. And yeah, that wasn't the only experience all throughout. And but after that I was like, yeah, no. And then like the producers like sister or cousin like showed up on set one day and was just like totally nonchalant, like, yeah, it's just the old guy and the little girl, and I'm telling you, they're nice, they're just looking after you. And I was like, the fact that y'all are just like totally okay with just like like talking about this, I was like, no. Honestly, like it's cool, but like I'm never gonna sleep already
Right.
producing an indie horror movie. I don't need the extra not sleep because of
Right.
the ghosts and goblins and ghouls
Not
hanging out.
everyone is desensitized to these things. Let's let them stay not desensitized. Just let them get the
Yeah,
hotel. Go get that hotel room. Now there's a lot of hotel ghosts. I mean, hence The Shining. So you're not always safe in a hotel either. There's still those things that can stand over your bed, and there's those things that are still in the basement, and those hotels are really haunted too. So
yeah.
you may not get such a nice entity in the hotel as you do with the old man and the little girl at the house.
Yep, this is true.
What is your biggest fear or your biggest phobia in life?
Oh, talk about being desensitized. It's funny, as a horror guy, I personally can't stand anything real blood in real life. I especially like anything like intravenous blood drawing,
Hmm.
or just people like shooting up in movies and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Can't do it. Yeah.
What's a quirk of yours that you can share that your fans may not be aware of?
I guess the thing that I get people surprised about is, it's a little weird, but I have a really long tongue. I'm not tongue tied. So
Uh-huh.
I have I anytime I will take a photo or do something silly with a tongue and to show to the world.
Okay.
It's
Yep.
really it's really long. I don't need fans of that, but fans can know that about me. IMDb trivia. Yeah, that's one of those things that people will be like, I didn't know this about you. And I was like, when would you have been up in there that you need to
Right,
know
right.
that? That's Nunya.
Right,
Uh,
exactly.
so I don't know. That's one thing that people are just like, wow, that's impressive. I'm like, I was born and then it did the thing. So that was it. Yeah.
What would you wish for your legacy to be?
Ooh, legacy. That's a good one. As a producer, I think about death a lot. And no, I'm kidding.
As a human,
But
I think about it almost every day.
yeah, as a person who especially works in horror a lot. No,
Oh
but
yeah.
yeah, I do very much legacy. I just really want to entertain. I really want to just I live and die by filmmaking. Probably literally. Like I want to be making movies till like I'm in that like Robert De Niro, Martin Scorsese age where I'm just like, yeah, I'm just on my deathbed, just like and cut. Like
Oh,
I really like Buddy, the fact that he's making Mutilator 2 because like that's also part of his legacy, and the fact that he still has more that he needs to tell is just like that's so cool. And I want to be doing that, one day. Like I definitely want to be. I just love, and that's why I end up producing so much, is because I meet these people and they have these great ideas. They just don't know how to facilitate them, or they run into a wall or whatever. And I love even just being an ideas guy and be like, here's a bunch of stuff, and like you have that for free. And then it's like, no, please, we want you to be part of the team. And then it's just like, oh, okay, how much more? But like it's definitely something that like I don't know. I don't want to have like a traditional funeral. I just want people to like put my casket down at the bottom of like like an AMC theater. Not the big. It doesn't have to be the big house. It could just be one of the smaller
yeah.
ones.
You're the first person I have ever met who wanted to have this kind of a funeral. I have always said when I die, this is what I want. I want my services to be held in a movie theater with my favorite movie hanging, playing up on the maybe a double feature, maybe my two favorite movies.
Maybe Mutilator,
And
Mutilator 2.
uh, okay, I wouldn't complain, but have tacos there. Taco Bell's my favorite fast food. Eat Taco Bell, watch my movies, and then go
It's the
home, and
party
that's it.
box.
The
Yeah.
party box. Yes, of course. I mean, many party boxes. But that's always been my thing. So it's funny that your funeral and my funeral are the same exact thing.
I'd like that. And maybe we will charge tickets. That way we could pay, because funerals are so
Yeah,
expensive.
yeah, yes, this is
You
true.
buy a little, you go to the matinee, maybe we have two
Yeah,
shows, maybe a matinee evening show.
yeah, that's all I'm asking for too. But no coffin. I want to be in an urn. That's you know. Anyway,
Oh,
so
I want like a mausoleum. I definitely
my,
want like that.
I did for the longest time. I wanted to put in a vault in a wall for the longest time, but then I thought, it gets too hot in the summer in
Yeah.
Michigan. It gets too cold in the winter. I know we're not going to know, but
Yeah.
just
No, I played
I want
many a Dracula, so like I would just like to be
yes,
in the coffin somewhere. So.
yes, yeah. I don't know. I just thought of, and I'm going to get really dark here, but the thought of the decay and the decomposition and the coffin, and it's just, I feel like
Hey, not
just
my
burn
monkeys,
me
not my
6 hours later.
circus. Just figure it
No,
out. Just
just
figure it out. I give that to
yeah,
somebody else to worry about.
wrap me in a sheet and throw me under a tree.
Yeah, just wrap me in wraps and put me in a mummy and just bury me in Egypt somewhere.
In Egypt.
Like, how did he die? Oh, he died a mummy. What? They
He,
still do
he,
that? Yeah, man. I guess you can. You
they
know?
got plans to go excavate him in 3,000 years. Then we're gonna do some comparison photos
We're
together
gonna
and do a
make a new one.
documentary.
We're gonna, have Brendan Fraser come back out. He's gonna reprise his roles. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, it'll be due out in the year 5300,
Hey,
somewhere
future
around there.
mummy movie? Come on.
Yeah,
Somebody's
that's a
write that
long
up there.
time in the planning. It's going to be pretty darn epic.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for coming on to the Terror Express. Send me all your links. I'm going to share them below so people can find all of your projects. And if Dark Circles is available, we'll make sure that's on there as well. Um, you can find me on Cameo. All funds raised are going to help animals in need, and it's less than the cost of a greeting card. So, um, again, Ryan, this has been such a thrill being able to talk to you about Zine and the Mutilator too. And I hope I didn't fanboy out too much, especially when we were talking about Connie or anything else related to the
You're talking
Mutilator.
to the right guy about
Yes,
it.
I am. I feel I am. Yes. So thank you again so much for coming on here. I'm going to get this posted as soon as possible. The full length version will definitely be going out tomorrow. So Fans, if you're listening to this on any podcast streaming, you can watch the video exclusively on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, go check us out on all the major streaming platforms for podcasts. Ryan, have a great night, and thank you so much for coming on to the Terror Express.
Thank you so much, man.
It's been a treat. Yeah, have a good
Appreciate it.
evening.
Take care.